Everybody, Andy here again. Well, they always say never meet your heroes, don't they? And probably with very good reason, because there have always been those occasions in most people's lives, I think, where we've had occasions that we've built up, whether they be weddings or big night out or big parties or something like that, and you look forward to them. There's that sense of anticipation, and then the night or the day or the event comes along, and it never quite lives up to anticipation. It's disappoints slightly. Well, yesterday I had one of those occasions which didn't disappoint, as it happens, so I won't leave you in suspense much longer in that respect. But a person that I met yesterday was Roger Daltrey, the lead singer with The Who. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I'm a big music fan, especially rock music, and The Who are one of those bands. I must admit, they're not my favourite band. They're one of those bands that I could put on like a greatest hits or a best of album, whichever term you want to use, and those songs stand up there, especially some of them, with some of the best songs that I've ever heard in my life. And I think the Rolling Stones are another band like that. Across the whole sort of spectrum of their work, I don't rate them as highly as some other bands, but some of their songs are as good as anybody's and better than most, shall we say. Especially things like Won't Get Fooled Again, and I actually listened to the album Who's Next, knowing that I was going to be meeting Roger the day after, and still listening to that Won't Get Fooled Again, where that big roar comes out and the speakers distort in the studio, and you think, wow, that's something else, and that whole album's something else, it must be said. And I got to meet him through a comparing gig, should we say, that I've been doing. One of those things that I've started doing, and I've talked about here on YouTube and elsewhere before, because of volunteering or agreeing to do certain things in the past. And that's where they lead up to quite often, is to opportunities like this. And I even got paid to do this yesterday. The event was at a local music festival, the Hastings Music Festival, which has been going for over 100 years, would you believe? There haven't been rock music classes for that long. They've only been there for about 6 or 7 years, I think. Now, it's primarily like a classical type of event, I suppose, more highbrow arts and musical talent, I suppose, if you want to put it that way. But being the far-sighted people they are, and some great people there, older ladies, but, you know, they've got young heads on them, a lot of these people. Well done for them for actually having the balls, as I said last night, to actually put in some rock music classes, rock band classes, and encompass different styles of music. Yes, there are people that didn't like the idea, and some people on the committee or within their organisation that weren't too keen on that, bringing in that type of thing, because of the perception of what rock music, etc., brings. You know, the exposure that it gets in the media sometimes, certainly. But well done to them, fair play to them, and it's been going for a few years now. And the first event that they had, as I said, 6 or so years ago, something like that, I actually judged it, which was quite good to think that the first time it happened, I was the judge. Last night, Roger Daltrey was one of the judges, so that's quite a nice little connection there. He wasn't on his own. There's another guy called Paul Roberts who I worked with last year who did it, and he's been in the industry, the business, for sort of 25 years. He was in the Stranglers as the vocalist for 16 years, and he's done just about everything: stage, screen, TV, you know, West End musicals, all that type of thing. A wealth of experience there, not quite matching the rock music 50 years nearly that Roger Daltrey's done. So they were the two adjudicators, judges yesterday, and I was the compere, sort of keeping it all together. So that was how I got to meet Roger backstage to start with. And interesting, because I was wearing a Hastings Rock t-shirt, the radio station I'm involved with, and years ago, well before my real involvement with the station, he actually did an interview on Hastings Rock, because he used to know one of our old DJs from long ago. And I said, you know, remember this? Oh yeah, I know that station. And I said, you know, he said, is it still going? So I said, oh yeah, we're back on the air again this year. Oh great, he said. I tried to get an interview, but he's a bit busy at the moment. Hopefully I might be able to do that sometime later in the year. But he seemed like a nice guy, and what I liked, same as Paul Roberts actually, but I think when the bands, the young musicians, and we're talking to people under categories under the age of 18 and categories under the age of 30, so we're not talking sort of particularly old people here, people starting out in music and rock music generally. was someone like Roger, who's got nearly 50 years worth of experience, sharing that experience and giving people encouragement to the extent of telling vocalists how to hold a microphone properly, because otherwise it will distort. And when someone like Roger Daltrey tells you how to hold a microphone, you're going to take notice, and that's something that will stay in those people's minds. Rock music, doesn't matter how old you are, you will know of people like Roger Daltrey, of bands like The Who and the Stones and the Beatles and those type of things as well. There are people that even teenagers look up to. So they take notice, and it was great to hear him enthuse about music, new music, not just the old music. As he was saying, he likes to see people trying to do something new, which is very encouraging. He was encouraging people, don't try and rehash what's done before. There's still, new music to be made. As he said, he was lucky when the Who started. Not much rock music had been done particularly. There was, it was uncharted territory. Now, yes, as he said, you might think that everything's been done, but it hasn't. And also good to know that, I know he said that he didn't like judging things, and I understand that. It's not easy, especially when people are young. You might feel that you could knock them down, and you don't want to do that. You want to try and build them up and encourage them, nurture them, if that's the right word as well. And who likes to be a judge and pit one young band against another, or one performer against another? It doesn't seem fair. Hence the fact that there was a third prize that was actually shared, I think, to save someone some sort of disappointment. And it was obvious also that he didn't like all the music that was played. There was some of that sort of real thrashy metal stuff. But fair enough, even then he was encouraging to the people and saying, pointing them in the right direction, and not saying you shouldn't do that music. He said, yeah, okay, it's not for me, but still persevere, do this, do that, and say trying to do something new. And it was good because Roger did actually live in East Sussex, not that far from, a few 20 miles or so from where I am now. And as he said, he likes the area. He was encouraging about the music, so that was a good experience. I'll actually put a photograph on the end. But one of those things, as I said, I got paid for doing that, and it doesn't seem like work. But once again, one of those things, thinking about it today, that I got to do because of my involvement with voluntary type things and saying yes to things, comparing, which I've done before, and that particular thing there with the music festival. As I said, I compared it last year, and they want me to do it again next year if it goes ahead, as I hope it will. That has led on to another paid comparing gig, should we say, a bit later on in the month. So never know where these things are going to end. By saying yes to some things several years ago, as it happens, that sort of built up and it's built up. And now I'm rubbing shoulders and working with people like Roger Daltrey. So there's something to be said for saying yes at times. And who knows where these things might lead. And there's more in the pipeline, which I'll be talking about in times to come. So, never meet your heroes? Well, it depends, yes. I'm sure there can be some bad experiences, but not for me. Not yet, anyway. Thanks for your time. I'll speak to you again soon. Goodbye.